Tottenham Hotspur CEO Vinai Venkatesham has issued a 2-page message to the Tottenham Hotspur fans ahead of the West Ham game. This has been published in the Matchday programme. In there, it states, "We know there is distance between the club and our supporters, and we are committed to rebuilding that connection." Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another edition of Tottenham News. Now, just one story on this episode, and this is a message from Tottenham Hotspur CEO Vinai Venkatesham. He has sent a 2-page message. This has been printed and published in the Tottenham Hotspur v West Ham United Matchday programme. He talks about player trading, the January transfer window. He goes on to talk about the academy and player support and development, and he also talks about the supporters. This is what he had to say. "Dear supporters, as we reach the halfway point of our season, I wanted to share an update on our plans for the future. The joint ambition of our executive team, board and the Lewis family is clear: to see our men's team competing regularly in the Champions League and for major trophies, while significantly raising the competitive level of our women's team. Our focus is sporting success, and in that we share the same ambition as our supporters. We know that words carry little weight without action, which is why recent months have been spent undertaking a thorough review of our operations. Opportunities for a genuine reset are rare in clubs of our size, and we have been determined not to waste this moment as we make the changes needed behind the scenes to compete consistently at the highest level. Football has changed significantly in recent years, and while the club has evolved and achieved incredible things, we recognise that in some key areas we have not always kept pace. We all feel the gap between where we are and where we want to be, and while we know progress takes time, we share your impatience to close it. Our supporters want wins and performances to be proud of, and we know that the men's first team has fallen short of where we want to be so far this season. Significant work is underway, and I wanted to set out the key areas of focus. Player trading. We believe in our current squad, but must add more quality, experience and leadership to compete consistently at the highest level. Doing so requires a more proactive approach to recruitment alongside a wage structure that supports our ambition. We are fully focused on strengthening the squad in January where the right opportunities exist, while recognising that the most significant player trading activity typically comes in summer windows. Our priority is to make signings that genuinely move us forward, and we will be disciplined against that aim. Player trading is also about knowing when to sell and being decisive about moving players on who are not part of our future. Doing so is essential to maximising value and managing our financial fair play obligations. Despite common belief, we are not immune to these rules and must carefully manage our squad development plans against them. The focus is reflected in the appointment of Rafi Morrison from City Football Group as Director of Football Operations. When he joins later this year, reporting into our Sporting Director, Johan Langer, he will play a central role in shaping and executing our player transactions and supporting the wider football operation. Academy. A productive academy is vital to our future. It provides first-team players without transfer fees and enables investment elsewhere in the squad. Crucially, it also develops players who grow up as supporters and truly understand what it means to pull on a Spurs shirt. While there has been good progress in recruitment and coaching in recent years, we must deliver greater first-team minutes and transfer returns from our academy. We have therefore committed additional investment in strengthening the academy pipeline of players to support the systems needed for it to flourish. Player support and development. While coaching is of course critical, and we have strengthened Thomas Frank's coaching staff with the appointment of John Hatinka, maximising performance is about more than coaching alone. We must be world class in performance services, including medical care, sports science, nutrition and psychology, to ensure players are available and primed to compete at the highest level. We have made several changes in this area, most notably the appointment of Dan Lewindon as Performance Director, who joins us next month from City Football Group. Supporters. Perhaps most importantly, we know there is a distance between the club and our supporters, and we are committed to rebuilding that connection. With your input, we have introduced initiatives such as the new Sonny mural, ticketing changes and a trial singing section, and we will continue to work closely with the Fan Advisory Board. Making matches more accessible for younger fans is a priority, and we will be reviewing concession policies for junior supporters and young adults ahead of next season. We want Tottenham Hotspur Football Club to be a club that feels open, welcoming and connected to the communities it represents. To strengthen engagement, we appointed Kate Miller as Chief Communications Officer in November and Adam Gardner as Chief Marketing Officer from this month. Along with Rafi, they form part of a newly established executive team under my leadership, reflecting a more modern and collaborative structure. I want to be clear that our ambition extends beyond the men's team. We are committed to raising the competitive level of our women's team and have invested significantly during the January transfer window, with early signs of progress already evident this season. Growing the support and following for Spurs women is a key focus for us going forward. I appreciate this has been a lengthy update, but I wanted to be open about where we want to be and how we are working to get there. Tottenham Hotspur cannot exist without you, our supporters. We are built on the loyalty, passion and commitment of those who follow us, and we do not underestimate what supporting our club means. Your dedication matters deeply. Thank you for your ongoing support. We are determined to deliver a future that reflects it. Best wishes, Vinai. Now, my thoughts on everything in this message to the supporters from CEO Vinai Venkatesham. I've got to say, I actually think that Vinai actually gets it, and he understands the many problems there are at the football club right now. I've got to say, in the last week or so, I've done a couple of media interviews, and a lot of the journalists have asked me, what do I think is the problem? And I tell you what, Vinai has pretty much said everything that I've said. And I think that it's not only me, it's not only Vinai, a lot of people who support this football club, we can all see how many issues that we have. We can all see what issues we have had in the past. And I have always said, particularly in the last couple of media interviews that I've done, is that Spurs need to learn from the mistakes that we have made in the past. You know, we've appointed so many different managers. We have had really bad recruitment. We probably haven't put enough, youth players, development players through our first team as well, giving them a chance. Let me try and break this down, because Vinai says here, the joint ambition of the executive team, board and the Lewis family is clear: to see the men's team competing regularly in the Champions League for major trophies, and also raising the competitive level of the women's game. I've got to say, the women's game, they have done remarkable work this season for Martin Ho. Martin Ho, I speak to him every week, and he raves about Vinai Venkatesham, and he raves about the board, and they have given everything to him that he needs and he wants. And you can see Spurs right now, they're level with Arsenal women, who have been dominant for many, many years. Of course, the Champions League winners at the moment, the Arsenal women, and Spurs are on level points in the WSL with them. So they are clearly, improving the Spurs women and have done a lot of work. Vinai was a big driver of the Arsenal women when he was there, and he is doing exactly the same with the Spurs women right now. Now, of course, he said the joint ambition of the executive team, board, Lewis family, we want to be competing in the Champions League. When you have a stadium like we do, when you have the training facilities like we do, we must be competing, year in, year out, and we must always be in European competition. That is an absolute must. For me as a supporter, that is my one thing. I just think that, it has to be. Spurs have to be in a European competition, particularly the Champions League, playing, in the best competition there is in club football. You're going to be attracting the best players as well. Vinai, I think, identifies, another issue here is the wage structure. How many of us have said about the wage structure needs to change? Something needs to be different. And Spurs are now looking at this. But I think the key thing is here, we can all read this and think, oh, okay, this is very, very well worded. This is very, very well put together. And this is very well thought out. And of course, I think that the club have actually taken notice of what the fans have been saying. We have all been saying about these number of issues, and I think that Vinai has addressed every single issue in this message to the fans, in this 2-page message in the matchday program, because he talks about the player wages. That definitely needs to change. You need to be attracting more players and better players into the football club. I also get, and I've been saying this throughout the January transfer window, January transfer windows are very, very difficult. And he also says the words that I said the other day: the main bulk of business that you will get will be in a summer transfer window, not the January transfer window. So I completely get that. I think it's been a really good week for Spurs, actually, signing Conor Gallagher with the fee that we've paid as well. And he is a household name, an experienced player. And this is exactly what we need more of. We need more quality players, impact players, to walk straight into this team and help the manager. He also addresses about the academy. And he's also said here about, they've put additional investment into strengthening the academy pipeline. This is absolutely fantastic news. I'll tell you what, the proof is in the pudding, and the proof is, like he said, it's not just words, it's about actions. And I've no doubt that, after this message, they've got to deliver. The club have to deliver. And I think that Vinai actually gets the frustration of all of the supporters. They're not silly people in terms of they're sitting at the stadium week in, week out, and they are hearing the boos. They are seeing the boos. They are seeing the disconnect. They are seeing empty seats. They are seeing a lot of problems. And I'll tell you what, it pains me as a Spurs fan to hear the boos, to see discontent, to see people unhappy, to see people shouting, to see people arguing with each other online because people may, disagree with certain aspects of how the club is run, what they should do, what they shouldn't do, etc., etc. It's painful, and we are going through a painful period right now. No one wants to, feel like we do right now, and I feel like this has come at the perfect time as well, because the silence has been deafening, and this had to be done now. I think this is really, really perfect timing before this crucial game against West Ham as well on Saturday. But things have to change. And I said this the other week, it can't go on like this. Something drastic needs to change. And Spurs, like I mentioned as well last week, and on these media interviews that I've done recently as well, that so many changes have been made, and changes must be made for a positive reason. And it sounds to me, with Vinai's statement here and message, things are progressing and they are doing things in a positive way. Of course, he said as well that time will tell. I know some fans will absolutely hate hearing that, you've got to be patient. But I think Vinai actually gets it. He gets the fact that we are all frustrated. He understands why we are frustrated. And I tell you what, when you tell somebody you are unhappy because of X, Y, and Z, if they stand there and do absolutely nothing, or they stand there or sit there and do the same old thing to annoy you, then of course you're going to still be annoyed. But it sounds like the club are actually listening, and they have listened to everyone's thoughts, and they've listened to the feedback of how we all feel. And I suppose now we need to give them a little bit of time to try and sort this out, because we all want the club to be improved. We all want change, because it is desperately needed. We cannot keep going around in circles doing the same old thing. The recruitment needs to be a lot better. and it hasn't been good enough for years. You go back to the Pochettino days of him saying that, we've got this wonderful mansion, meaning the stadium, and you've got to put the furniture in it. Of course, we had that famous Antonio Conte press conference at Southampton. And of course, most recently, Christian Romero, the captain, speaking out. And I've no doubt as well that, when Romero, the captain, actually speaks out about lies that he mentioned about the board, aiming a huge dig at the board, Vinai Venkatesham had to do a statement like this. He had to say, look, this is where we stand. We want success. But of course, we have heard similar things like this before. I do feel this is a little bit different. And I do feel like they are going to deliver. Whether it will be in January, let's wait and see. We've got 17 days left of the transfer window, but my gut feeling is we are going to go big and strong in the summer transfer window because by that wage structure changing at the football club, this could mean a different calibre of player that Spurs could bring in, and so we can be more successful and challenge on all fronts. This season has been really poor. This first part of the season, we're out of both domestic cups really, really early against Newcastle and Aston Villa, respectively. But interestingly, what Vinai says here, we know there is a distance between the club and our supporters, and we are committed to rebuilding that connection. That connection does need to be built because I tell you what, a number of friends, associates, people I talk to, people I see week in, week out. I'm not seeing those people very often right now because, some people have chosen not to go. Some people feel very down and depressed about watching Spurs right now. They need to get that connection back. That is very, very, very important. But like I said, the men's team, we need a lot of work. We need a lot of quality brought in if we want to compete on all fronts. But like Vinai said, we should always be playing and competing in Europe and, particularly the Champions League. If we want to be a Champions League club next season, there is a lot of work to do. But it may take time. It may be time and patience. I know a lot of people at the moment are against Thomas Frank. They don't believe that he's the right person to drive us forward. Whether we stick with Thomas Frank or we don't stick with Thomas Frank, these fundamental things, the structure of the football club is extremely important for our future. And of course, we don't want to keep going around in circles like we have been, because when I talk so often about manager changes, since us moving into the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in April 2019, we have had from Pochettino to Thomas Frank now 6 permanent managers, 3 interim appointments, and we cannot keep going on like this. So it does need someone. It certainly needs a board to say, look, we cannot keep making these same errors. Let's sort this out. And I tell you what, I've been very impressed with this statement from Vinai Venkatesham. But as I've said, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the delivery now of players walking through the door. And let's see those changes. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. Now, please do let me know your thoughts on Vinai Venkatesham's statement in the comments section below. Have a great weekend, everyone. Let's hope that Spurs can get back to winning ways in the Premier League against West Ham. Here is the 3 points. Have a good weekend. Come on, you Spurs.